Welcome to the latest printed press. I'm Aisha Jamal, and today we're going to be talking about COVID-19 in our local area, specifically Enfield. And to discuss this topic, I'm really happy to say that I've got Yasemin Brett, who is Councillor of London Borough of Enfield, former Cabinet Member of Public Health, and in charge of Vulnerable Young Persons Task Force. Welcome, Yasemin, to my programme.
Good afternoon. Hi, Aisha and Jim. Hi, Gulai. Hi to all the Turkish-speaking community, and happy Bayram.
Yes, definitely. You're actually paused on my screen, so I don't know if we might have to reset this at the moment. I can hear you, but you're frozen on the screen, so I'll just get Gulai to assist you with that. But while we're waiting to just sort that out, it's a very big subject that we're going to be covering today, COVID-19 in our local area, but obviously it's specifically about Enfield. And Yasemin Brett has got extensive experience of being a councillor of the London Borough of Enfield and also being a former cabinet member of public health. Obviously, this is of great interest to her. So we're going to be talking about how people are coping in Enfield and specifically what outreach there is and what support services there are in the local area. So we're just waiting for her to reconnect. Hopefully that will be soon and we can get started. Obviously, it's been a very, very worrying time for all of us. We've been in quarantine since March. And today, we're going to be talking about this with Yasemin Brett in a moment. There's been an article put out in the Independent and Guardian talking about a new COVID for young people. Apparently now there's been some sort of change in the virus and it's now affecting young people. Yasemin, we've got you back. Yes.
I do apologize to all your viewers in advance that we're having a little bit of problem with the technology. It's nothing originating from you. Unfortunately, I'm told that this area is an internet and Wi-Fi black spot. So I've got Wi-Fi enabled, Bluetooth enabled. I'm up in the attic with the router. Let's hope for the best.
You look very beautiful today, by the way. You look very. I love what
you're
wearing.
You know what? You're great. You're beautiful. And in these days of COVID, we don't really get a chance to look at ourselves or anything. And my hair hasn't been done for.
Me too. Yes, me too. We're having to do it ourselves. We're not lucky to go to the hairdressers at the minute, but hopefully soon things will change. I was just telling our audience, again, reminding everybody of your title, the fact that you're a former cabinet member of public health, councillor of London Borough of Enfield, and in charge of Vulnerable Young People's Task Force. So obviously this subject that we're talking about today is of very much of interest to you and your expertise area. I mean, the first question that I'd like to ask you, Yasemin, is how are people coping in Enfield currently?
Well, actually in Enfield, by and large, Enfield is a great place. I don't know whether you actually live here, Aisha and Jim, although I often see you in the studio here. People are very, very generous with their time. A lot of them are volunteering, and there are very good groups to volunteer through. Like there's the COVID Mutual Aid. There's the council's own Enfield Stands Together, which many, many people are volunteering for, but we can always do with more. And then there's a group called Enfield Love Your Doorstep, which is a group of about 38,000 businesses in Enfield who are all on a platform, and they've got about 600 volunteers. And I've been sort of connecting with them, trying to help at various times. And they also are doing an absolutely fantastic job. So volunteering is one way people are coping with it. Of course, most regrettably, according to one report, and also from what we see, there are still too many people walking around, in the parks. Okay, for people who are living in the tower blocks or, are in big families, fully understand and appreciate that situation. But I'm clearly seeing that there are quite a lot of people not socially distancing, and Enfield, unfortunately, is not doing well in those rankings. It's an area where social distancing rules are being broken. So that's one other way that people are going about things. There are a lot of people in Enfield who are going on to courses. There are lots of online courses that one can go on to, which are completely free, being run by the universities, other ones being run on childcare, different parts of education, art, you name it. And that is something really to take advantage of. And I think I may have sent you some of the links. I don't know. They are in English, admittedly. But you know what? I'm pretty sure that if we were to go to Turkish university sites, we'd find some courses for free there as well. So that's another way people are, coping with it. Some people are doing cookery courses online. I saw, for example, on Love Your Doorstep, there are guys talking about all their recipes and, what they're doing, and they're doing programs. So, and your Happy Patisserie, isn't that?
Yes,
that's fantastic. They're
fantastic.
I get their recipes. I do their stuff. I think, people are finding different ways
of coping. Yeah. So obviously
coping with it. But of course, we must not forget the people who are ill and the actual ones, the families. I mean, hats off to them and all our NHS staff and all the care staff.
Yeah.
I mean, how they're coping is a huge question. The frontline staff, all the bin men, they've got a huge responsibility. And it's at a time like this that you see, the value of our public servants are amazing people. They go 20,000 times the extra mile.
Yes, I mean, definitely our hats off to all the key workers. And it's quite emotional, when we stand outside every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock and we clap, not only for the NHS, of course, definitely for the NHS, but also for all of these key workers, like you said, that are, working over and beyond and putting their lives at risk for the safety of others. That's very true. We've got some comments. One, hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly, has said, hi, Enfield. And Alped has said, thanks for all volunteers, people. And Hassan has said, Turkish salam, which is nice. I mean, what you were saying about the social distancing being a problem in the Enfield area, it's something that I've actually particularly noticed. But I've noticed that it's getting worse as we're going along. So what would be your message, Yasemin, to people in the local area in Enfield who feel like it's getting safe to go out? What would you say to them?
Well, can I say this to you, Aisha and Jim? Britain is not the other European countries. Other European countries are beginning to relax their rules. You have to look, we came into this a little later, and our context is very, very different because various things, it is now accepted by government, started a bit late. So we've unfortunately let things run away in terms of this illness a bit. So my advice would be, and I think the Prime Minister is absolutely right when he said today that, it is too early probably to ease this lockdown. And the longer we can retain, control over ourselves, continue with this little holiday, shall we say, the longer we can maintain that, the better it is going to be from the point of view of not tiring our health staff. They are absolutely exhausted. I don't know if you're seeing the pictures online. They are exhausted. So, keep up with the social distancing. All of that, I think, really, unfortunately, still needs to continue for a while longer. I mean, I'm very much aware of the fact, particularly with older people, the loneliness, the fact that they can't touch their grandchildren, these are all having psychological effects. It's, and particularly for us as Mediterranean, Turkish and Turkish Cypriot people, we are not used to, we're quite touchy-feely people, this is all quite difficult, I certainly think so. And I don't know. I think we have to continue with it, but I agree that it's a very difficult ask for people.
Yeah. It is. It is a difficult ask, but I think definitely from what you're stating, it's something that we must do. Otherwise, things will get worse, and our peak will get another peak. I mean, we're going to talk about in a moment what you were reading in the Independent and Guardian today. But before we go on to that, obviously, we've talked about how people are coping and what support services are out there, and what people can do themselves to help themselves, like going on courses and staying in touch with various forums and groups online. But what about outreach for severe cases like domestic abuse or any other such issues during these times? What support is there out in Enfield for serious issues like that?
Well, as far as I know, I last heard or read that our leader in the council, Nesil Chalishkan, was talking about a domestic violence hub being set up, which I think is a very good idea, because unfortunately, domestic violence figures have actually doubled during this period, which is, it's the way people are placed. You're actually placed with your abuser. But having said all of that, you see, I mean, from the domestic violence hub, you will be able to access, helplines. You'll be able to discuss your situation and maybe be asked to move to a friend or another relative who can help you. And, one must not suffer abuse by oneself, during this period, because it then will become a multiple problem, not only the abuse, but the health problem. So, we must access help when we can get it.
Yeah.
Now, I sent you a list of helplines.
Yes.
You'll see on Alzheimer's. Then the Samaritans are running helplines, for people who are feeling, there's a lot of people on their own, there's a lot of people, particularly professional people, who live on their own. And it's quite something, to have to occupy yourself for 6 weeks. It's all right if you're somebody like me. I read a lot, and I'm used to, playing cards online and stuff like that. But if you're not somebody who's used to this kind of stuff, then, being on your own is quite difficult. You're somebody who's used to going down to the pub or whatever. It's quite difficult. So there's the Samaritans helpline. There's also, for lower income groups or people who may be struggling, there's a lot of help out there that people are not aware of. I used to be in the advice field in my personal daily work. So I'm aware of the fact that, for example, Thames Water provide grants to people. They can delay your payments. They can even void your payments. They might help with a piece of equipment. Say if your washing machine isn't working, they can give you a grant towards that. They have got their special community chest. So there are organizations like that that one needs to be aware of, and their grants. Similarly with the electricity, I just put the water there, but again, for dementia now, increasingly we are seeing more people presenting with dementia. Now that's a very tricky thing to handle. Dementia presents in different ways, and I know from my own close family situation, we have that. I know how it presents. It's different for every family, but I will tell you one thing. I was listening to the case of a gentleman who couldn't handle his wife, who was sick of being inside, so she was going all around the house, up and down, etc., asking when such people could be let out and so on. And the dementia helplines are specifically geared to people who will talk to somebody with dementia. Okay. So there'll be somebody who is trained in this area and will do maybe a Skype call or a call so that they can see a living person, and trying to administer to their needs. But these are the kind of situations we're facing, and God bless our people. They're trying their best.
Yeah, I mean, you sent me the links, and what I will do is I will put the links above our program when we share it out. But like you said, Helpline Age UK,
Yes.
Alzheimer's Society, and with the Thames Water, like you said, you can get some sort of support for financial support if you're eligible for it. But the other thing that we were talking about just before the program was this worrying article that we've seen in the Independent and Guardian today about the new COVID. Would you be able to explain to our audiences a little bit about that? And I know you shared it on your page on
Well,
Facebook as well.
I have like others this morning woken up to the Independent, the Daily Mail are running this story about a COVID-19 type inflammation now being seen amongst young people. Now, it was always sort of suggested that young people were not as affected by COVID as older people are.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't pretend to be any kind of expert on this, but everything I'm reading in different countries tells me that COVID doesn't seem to spare anybody. It can be
No.
with younger people, older people, people basically who have an underlying condition.
Yes. Definitely.
But what this thing seems a bit different with the younger people, which is a bit worrying. And what it is presenting as are symptoms of what they call toxic shock syndrome.
Okay.
And Dr. Teoman Siri, who's a fantastic doctor in our community, he might be somebody you might want to get on to speak on this subject, because they're talking about obviously maybe returning to the school curriculum. There's although Johnson doesn't want to open the economy up 100%, there is some kind of discussion of a staged approach of opening that they're talking about, in which the schools may go back in June. I don't know, but they're talking about some school time.
Yeah.
So it's worth finding out about this exactly.
I think for the parents in our local area, certainly, like if your children are asthmatic or have any other underlying health conditions, I think then they need to be a bit wary. And I think definitely as a school teacher myself, it's been a discussion, yes, that there might be something, it's not set in stone yet, that there might be some sort of stage return back to school around June time. But I think parents will have a choice. If they feel like their children have got these underlying health issues, then maybe it's not wise. Maybe they need to carry on with the quarantine. And hence we go back to our original point of how important it is to socially distance, which we're not doing as well in our borough, unfortunately, and to follow the rules of quarantine. Yes, we're allowed to have that exercise once a day, but you're saying that it's too excessive, too many people are out in close proximity with each other, and of course wearing the masks, the gloves, sanitizing. We're going to have some nice articles in a moment about the sanitizing, actually, because you're very good
about
with
the
that.
sanitizing. Now that you've raised that, I mean, I'm really pleased to see that Turkey and the Turkish government, for example, did fantastically well on cleansing the streets and so forth.
Yes.
And have been very good, have helped 53 countries on PPE. Now, in terms of our own cultural attributes, I think, the things that we always did at home, I always have this colonia business. And, that is still 100% the way we should be going now and into the future. It's a really good way to behave. And also taking the shoes off at the door. So important.
The hygiene. I mean, with the colonia, is it 80% alcohol?
80% alcohol in there. And you know what? I mean, getting that idea through to our kids now that, some of our kids sort of look at our culture and, they don't always agree with it 100%. But now, you can see that there are many aspects of our culture that are really, really good. And, maybe we can say, well, look, this is what we're doing and how we're helping. And
It's true.
in terms of cleaning, I just want to say one thing. Again, I'm not an expert, but for years I've used steam cleaners. Now, that steam cleaning sterilizes a surface. It doesn't involve using chemicals. And I've been on one forum with a lot of the nurses, and they were saying that that's what they used to do before, you know, in the past. But they're talking about bringing that sort of procedure back, because sterilizing something at over 100 degrees C uh, is, it neutralizes something. It,
Yeah.
it it can be quite helpful. I mean, I find it very helpful for cleaning, and it's what dry cleaners use, you know.
Yes. So it's steaming
It's
over a
very
certain
cheap,
temperature. Yeah.
14 pounds.
Mm. So that's a good piece of advice as well. I mean, our next point is North Middlesex Hospital. I know you've been very active in trying to raise money for North Middlesex Hospital. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say about that, Yasemin, to our
Well, I would be
audiences.
very grateful. I put the page on your
Link.
email, that you kindly share it out with our community. I mean, our community, of course, work there, they go there,
Mm.
and it's the main hospital for Turkish speaking people throughout the Lee Valley corridor, not just Enfield, but Haringey,
Yeah.
further down. In fact, you don't have another big hospital till you get to Tower Hamlet. So
Yeah.
it is the big hospital that all of us use. And, you know, they,
Mm.
along with everybody else, have had
Oh,
problems
we're
with
frozen again.
PPE. They have had, you know, they've got a huge demand there. And, you know, trying to fundraise for them, it, I put it in my name, but it shouldn't really be in my name. It should be for all of us.
I know what
If
you're
we could raise
saying.
it
Yeah.
and say this came from the Turkish community, speaking community or something, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Because,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
we are citizens of this country. I know the Turkish community, speaking community, are doing a lot. They are doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they're helping with food parcels and, you know, giving free food. I know that, for example, some of our community have who are in the garment industry, prepared the face masks and gave them,
Yes.
you know, as a present to the hospitals. But if they could join us in this fundraising, you know, and then we could give something to the hospital, I think it would be good, you know, even if it is that they can buy themselves some treats, because those staff are the
Mm.
cleaners. Everybody in there is working massively hard,
Mm.
really massively hard, and
And very
putting
long
themselves in
hours.
such danger.
Yeah.
I'd be grateful, Aisha and Jim, if you could
Yes, and
set
I
up
mean,
a.
I've seen some of the pictures. Also, there's been a few conspiracy theories, and I wanted to mention this. There's been a lot of forums where there are conspiracy theories about how the hospitals are empty, how this is not actually happening. I've been saying repeatedly saying this on a lot of my programs. And obviously, being a former cabinet member of the public health and being such an experienced individual, a councillor of the London Borough of Enfield, and knowing that our hospitals inside out. Would you be able to say something to enlighten our audiences about how untrue that is? Because I do find that very concerning when some of these things are put about in our social media
Well,
about the local
I
area.
have to say I haven't been into North Mid since February, so I don't know what the situation is there with my own eyes. But I will tell you one thing, that with the Nightingale Hospital, where the main complaint is about, that they say it's empty, etc., you see, when a patient is admitted there, the staff have to go there with the patient.
Yes.
Now, I know from scrutiny in our area that when we asked about staff shortages in February, we were told that 18,000 nurses were being recruited from the Philippines. That was in February, when the nursing gap and the illness hadn't taken off yet, was about 40,000. So when you think about that, you realize that there is a huge issue that the hospitals have to cope with in terms of the staffing levels. And unfortunately, the NHS has had 10 years of underfunding systematically.
Yes.
So when you hear that the hospitals have not got patients, that on the COVID front is untrue. There are many patients. In fact, it's very difficult to get in
Yes.
effect. But
Yeah.
the Nightingale Hospital has got a different arrangement from our local hospitals. It's not the same kind of hospital. It is
Okay.
taking only COVID patients, and the
Okay.
COVID patients come with a retinue of staff. And
Yeah.
that is why they are not having that many people in there. That is what I've been told by the nursing side, on the
Yeah.
nurses' side. So, that is what I can say. But in terms of, oh, I keep getting these phone messages coming down, and I can't see your face, Aisha. The other point is, of course, there is obviously, and you keep hearing it on the program, some concern about going to the hospital for any other conditions,
Yeah.
because you're a bit nervous about whether you're going to get COVID-19 if you go there.
Yes.
So it would appear that the A&Es and other areas which would have normally been absolutely full in somewhere like the North Mid, a lot of these places are not getting the patient throughput they were from previous days.
Yes,
So
that's
there
a
is
very
something
good
like this.
point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's probably what it is that people are noticing, and it's because most people are trying to cope with it indoors and not stress the NHS out. And I think that's the way to be. I mean, I had a terrible toothache the other week, and yet I just phoned up this line. A dentist phoned me back, and then my local chemist had my prescription, and I went and picked it up from there. Obviously, normally you would go to the dentist, but in times like this, we have to think outside the box and unfortunately cope in different ways. We've
You
literally,
raised a very good point, Aisha and Jim. I don't know that I sent you this information, but actually, in terms of dentistry, now you go through 111, and there are specific places that
yeah,
receive you for the dentistry. It's not like before where we could go to our dentist. The dentists are closed, as you know. The opticians, the same problem. I need to get my eyeglasses,
yeah,
and they're shut.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um, the one line, if you can get through, is definitely very, very helpful,
yeah.
to direct you to where you have to go.
Well, you have to go, and it's been quite easy process. I mean, in the evening, I must admit it was jam packed, but by the morning, I was able to contact somebody, and someone got back to me very promptly, and I resolved the issue. But obviously, during the night, I suffered a little bit. But there's waiting times are longer with everything now. Everything when you ring up, you're redirected somewhere else, and it's just something that we have to get used to in the time being. We've only got a few more minutes left of our program, and I just wanted to mention we talked about a few sort of happier articles that we've looked at today. We looked at Turkey's unique hand sanitizing method, also the street parties when people were putting out their bins. They were having
Yeah.
a bit of a street party in the local area, and there was pictures of that, and we discussed that. And the manicures. Tell us about the manicures. You sent me that link. That was really interesting.
Yes, some people have got very inventive, sticking their fingers through the letterbox and
Yes.
getting their nails done that way. I must confess, I'm not somebody very big on the hair and the nails. As you can see, my hair is a
No,
complete mess now
we're
at
all
the end of
doing.
the program. But yeah, they are finding inventive ways of doing things. I mean, you always look fantastic, and I was sorry to hear about your teeth and you've got them sorted, but
Yeah.
your nails, I don't know. You can tell me how
Nothing.
you.
Nothing. It's the first time in years I've seen my actual nails, let me tell you. I've always had
Really?
them painted. It's the first time. But I'm fasting as well, so in a sense it's good.
Wow.
I'm fasting
Welcome
the
to
whole
you
month.
and to
Thank
all those
you.
in our community who are doing
Yes.
that.
So in a sense it's good that I haven't got any nail varnish on. But obviously, yeah, it's a first for me to actually see my nails. I was quite shocked that they look quite healthy. I thought, wow. Credit to the nail shops that I've been going to. I've got quite healthy nails, but it is something new, and I want to do programs about that for us women. You know, I think it's important to keep our moral sort of health and mental health up, that we still try and take care of ourselves. Yes, we're maybe not going out and about and we're not as busy, but it's still good to try and look after yourself. But then again, at the same time, it's nice to be natural as well. I mean, I don't know, this is my natural hair now. I've dyed my own hair this month. I've got my natural nails.
Wow.
Being natural is always a good thing as well. But obviously, at the same time, it's good to put on a bit of makeup and try and feel good about yourself. I relate to the eye opticians as well, because I had to order some contact lenses, so I struggled with that as well. And then they ordered it online and it got sent to me. So I had about a good week of not being able to see properly. So the things, you know, we've had to adapt.
Oh dear, that is difficult to cope with. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
that
be
was
able
very
to.
difficult to cope with.
I mean, glasses are so important for me as well. But I was
Yeah.
going to say to you, you talked about, you know, the health and the beauty. Funnily enough, I don't know if you're experiencing this. I'm sure that a lot of women are, but because of washing our hands so much from everything, you know, the hand cream business and all that is something. And
Yeah.
a lady was telling me about a product that she wants to talk about. So aloe vera, and how she will promote that. She was telling me about it. My neighbor, actually, over the fence. And I was thinking to myself, you know, there must be lots of people suffering with very
Yeah.
dry hands. And
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very common at the moment. Aloe vera, yeah, aloe vera is a very good thing, actually, which you can still get from the chemist. I would recommend aloe vera as well. Your friend's absolutely right. And obviously, whatever her product is, yeah, it's a good idea, because I think because we're constantly washing our hands are drying. We've got one last comment. I don't know if I can actually pronounce this. Right, I might put it on the screen, but takdir ile izliyoruz, tebrikler. It's, I think, all right, my Turkish isn't that good, but I think it's they're saying that you're doing really well, and we're watching you, and well done. Something like that, but it's all positive. It's been a pleasure.
That's nice. I'm trying to stay still so I don't go off the screen again, and I'm seeing my hairstyle and it's driving me nuts.
It's been a pleasure having you, Yasmin, on my program.
Well, lovely to be with you, Aisha and Jim. You really, with your red outfits, you really lift my spirits. I've got to tell you that.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much for giving us all this information. Someone's put another top program, well done, by Naima. Naima was actually on my program, and she actually is a care worker. She's in charge of the care workers out there. So again, another NHS worker. My hat's off to her.
Absolutely, hats off.
But yes, it's been great. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll do this soon again, because I'm sure you'll have a lot more up-to-date information in the next upcoming weeks and months. But what would be your last message to our audience tonight?
To the audience, to all of you, first, I'd love to thank you very much for inviting us on the program, and Gülaycığım for helping us with the technology. And I would like to send my greetings to the whole Turkish-speaking community, who I know a lot of them are fasting. You know, my best wishes to everybody, and my condolences to all the families who may have experienced loss. And, you know, keep well, keep safe. This is a temporary period. We have had periods like this before in life. You know, all those guys who are living with malaria and stuff like that in other countries, you know, it's all around them. Maybe sometimes we need to start getting used to risk a bit more, like we did back home in the old countries, you know, get more used to risk. So I wish everybody well, keep well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yasemin. Thank you for coming on my program. And thank you very much to all our viewers and all the comments. That's it from us, from Eurogenç TV. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
Welcome. We are Bologna, calling newlyweds or those looking for a new bedroom set. Venti 5-door bedroom set is not only glamorous and modern, but has storage inside the bed. This bedroom set was £3,700, now £2,395. Bellona, we are here for you.